This is a demonstration of how to do rotating shapes. What I'm going to give is an example of a basketball or a some kind of playing some kind of ball or you would play with at school. I did the Pee Wee's Playhouse globe this way. What I'm trying to do is get shapes that spin this direction, or more accurately this way, so that it seems as if the ball is rotating like this to you. What that shape is, take a series of, what you want to get is a series of different sections of clay and make them all basically a uniform size. And then I'm going to sculpt what I call a tilde, or a double scooped. It's a double scooped side thing that looks, when you look at it straight on, it should look approximately, roughly like a circle. If you were to actually take a profile shape of this, it should be pretty much a ball. Look at it from the side though, it's really a tilde with the fattest part in the middle. What you're trying to sculpt is something like that. Although, truthfully, there's a little bit of a cup shape, like on this side, and a little bit of a cup shape this side. So the profile doesn't actually show you just how, it's really hard to tell on a screen like this, but this is actually concave. This is convex, and this should be a little bit concave. The idea is to create a little bit of a pocket, if you will, on this side, and another little pocket on this side. So you can see that's kind of a tilde. Here, let me draw it again. The way I'm looking at this is if you were to put that as the center line, it's really kind of doing this, where this center line runs through it, and there's a little bit of a cup shape down in here, and a little bit of a cup shape down in here, and this is the center thread that runs through that double scooped shape. This is what's going to make the rotations that cause the ball to spin. So I'll go ahead and sculpt one of these shapes to show you roughly how I just make this by hand. You could make a mold. The real way to do it is probably to take a computer and make a piece of geometry in CG and then extrude it on a stereolithography printer, and then you could probably get a much more precise shape. Everything I ever came up with in StrataCut I always did by hand and in my mind, drawing on paper or by experimentation, because it's just the purity of it. You know, yes, computers can figure these shapes out now, but the whole point of it is to make your mind figure it out, to work that hard, to figure out time sculpture in your brain, you know, the continuity of a tube extended in space and what sort of shape it would need to be. So that's basically the tilde. I've made this kind of a shape where the centers run that way and there's a double scoop on both sides. These two shapes now sort of fit in with each other like this, right? I've made a lot of these shapes. This would be a lot of spinning ball going on here. So all of these different color shapes represent the same idea as these color shapes. They all fit tongue and groove, one on top of the other. Now, you can kind of mush them together and get the idea of a ball spinning. Because it's it's pretty imperfect what I'm making here. I like to add perhaps a little orange, what I call is a really super skinny orange slice. And I'm going to do it in black and white just because those are very simple separate colors. So if I take these orange slices, what they'll do is fill in these apparent gaps that you see all along here. These kind of, oh, I don't know what you call them. Just, it's not quite lining up at the top, because in order to get this to be precise, I kind of have to carve in. Gonna have to carve in a little bit of this. See that? So what these little orange peel shapes are going to be are these little spacers that allow a little bit of slop to be taken up at the top, and that'll make the actual parts of these parts a little more precise. So in a sense, it's kind of like negative sculpting again, where you're trying to make sure that these shapes don't distort on their way. So I'm going to put in a little bit of a peel slice here. Do it both in black. That way the next slice fits in nice and snug to this slice. I'll go ahead and do white on the next one. So there's two little orange peels, these skinny little spacers, and this will cup into the next spot better. Alright. Looks like they're a little high, so I'm going to bring them down a little bit. Now, the idea is to get a spinning ball, but to have it look basically like a circle when you're pointing straight at it from the camera's axis. I'll go ahead and put another couple of white orange slices in here. This will allow a solid color to go in. And if I were to take a slice right about here, you're almost going to get a really good ball. You're going to need one more slice to make an actually functioning basketball or rotating globe idea. I'll use a couple of more orange slices here. And fit another piece tongue and groove. That should probably do it, and I only mean that if I were to actually cut across this axis right now, you would actually get 5 pieces, 5 slices of the ball would be actually working. You'd get about what this image is showing you, about what that drawing, that illustration is doing would be happening now. Only it would be animating, spinning, rotating. I'll put one more on and then we'll go ahead and take a quick little cut of it. Okay. There. Alright. Now, the great thing about any piece of strata cut that has a repeating shape like this is if you cut it in, well, here I'm going to go ahead and now circle it up a little bit. Right now it feels like there. See, what I'm doing is pressuring it so it becomes more of a circle. Again, because this truly needs is, again, a cradle. And this cradle, by putting a couple of pieces of wedge, semi-scooped wedge clay underneath it, and then I can put pressure on this when I cut it and it won't distort on the way down. So, there. Now it may not look like much because it's got a lot of abstractions in it, but when you see this animated, you'll be knowing that each one of these wedges is moving from left to right across. I want to finish this thought here, which is to dovetail one joint onto the next like that, right? I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of more wedge slices in here. And I'm going to go ahead and gather that up. Now I've I've again boxed it up. I've boxed up the two ends. So now this is a much more sturdy unit. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get it dovetailed one side onto the other. I'm going to put a little bit of negative shape on it to make sure it doesn't distort anymore. And that's probably good enough to actually slice as a piece of example. If you were to go from this slice to the next, you'll see that that the red over here is disappearing, and the blue is increasing, and the yellow is starting to move this way. Everything is starting to rotate that way. And it's interesting how the illusion of rotation, when you look at it from the top, you might think it's going this way, but because of the lines are going this way, it actually gives you, from the front, an illusion of going that direction. Another way I tend to do this when I don't put those little spacers in to try to keep the oval shape is just, do it straight up. Take your tilde shapes, take your scooped semicircular shapes and just mush them. And really, it's good enough to get the illusion across. It's a little imprecise. It wouldn't work for CAD/CAM fittings, but I'll go ahead and slice it here. You can see each piece dovetails to the next with no orange slices. And this actually is a little clearer to your eye when you understand that the things will be rotating looks like it's going the other way. Yeah, look at that. So it's actually rotating this way where this side is disappearing. Again, here is the dovetail joint. When you take one side of a strata cut that's not perfect as a geometric repeating pattern and you stick it on the other, it actually all lines up and that boxes it in. So now it's a much more usable piece of and then I'm going to put a little couple of curved spacers underneath it, again to keep it from distorting. And that's that. That's now the same concept of a rotating ball. It's without the little spacers. These little orange slices, white and black, were not used in this one. And in a way, it's a clearer sort of rotation. Here, the reason for the spacers is that it keeps the precision of the sort of football or almond disc, pinched disc ends, oval pinched disc with the ends pinched. That keeps it clearer here. This one is going to get a little mushy on the corners and sides, but both of them are valid, and both of them will get the same point across, which is a rotating ball. On a larger scale, I could build it this big and make an earth rotating back. I would of course have to put details like continents and a lot of other things in it. This is a simple concept. Doing it at a larger scale is a little more hard, but it's the same basic idea. You have to sculpt in ever distorting semi-cupped shapes, so things gradually, as you can see, things gradually creep around the side. They go a little quicker in the middle and then they creep around the side again. That's the whole point of this tilde, or this S-curve, double scoop, where it reverses the scoop on both sides, is it's going faster in the middle and slower on the sides. It's uniformly, when cut, is the actual true pinched oval tips football shape. And on the sides, it increasingly becomes semicircular one side or the other. But again, larger picture is that it's slow. It's very slow here, goes across fast, and comes across slow too. If you're cutting this way, ding, 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 like that, 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 that.